Good morning, everybody. J.R. Fisher here. Welcome to Wednesday. What is it, the 10th? Let me check. I don't want to give you inaccurate information here. I think it is the 10th, yes, of August, 2022. And the big question today is Facebook done? Done. Who would have thought it? But I'm going to show you some evidence today that could be leading in that direction. So you're going to want to stick to the very end. If you haven't subscribed yet, hey, do me a favor and do so. Hit that red button down there, turn it gray. I'm going to be monitoring your comments up here. Please post to that comment section. Ask me questions. Tell me who you are. Tell me where you're at. All of that stuff matters for the distribution of this video. So if you're liking what you're hearing, don't forget to also ring the bell. Turn on all bell notifications. Ring the bell, turn on all notifications so you're notified every time I go live or if I upload a video. And last but not least, give me a thumbs up. The simplest thing in the world, you click thumbs up, you're going to feel better for the rest of the day. You're going to have a good day if you just click the thumbs up. Now, if you don't click the thumbs up, I'm not saying what kind of day you're going to have, but why risk it, right? Go ahead and click the thumbs up. All right, guys. Let's get right into it. Facebook, I've been having a love-hate relationship with Facebook, as some of you may have. And if so, put in the comments, what your feeling is about this. But Facebook has really changed. I first really got on board with Facebook. Now, I joined, I think, in 2010. And that same year, I actually bought their stock. I think that was the year that they went public with it. And I think I paid $27. It came out at $35 and I bought it at $27. It's been in the 200s, but I will tell you in 2020, I think it was 2020 or 2021, I sold the majority of my Facebook stock. I made good money on it, but there were so many issues. And what I want to talk about today is, are they going the way of being extinct? And guys, make sure you're hearing me well. Post in that chat section, if the volume's good, if the video's good, all that stuff, all that matters to me. But I want to talk about, because we always think, well, Facebook, no, that's been around and that's one of the biggest social media platforms there is, and nothing could ever happen to Facebook. That's just not entirely true. Anything can happen to any platform. I don't know if you guys remember or not, there was a platform called Yahoo Buzz. Well, it never really picked up any buzz, okay, and it died out. There was another platform called Tom says I'm doing good. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it, buddy. He's monitoring things for me. I got to have somebody monitoring things. So I do appreciate that. And I'll stick that up on the screen. Guys, I can highlight your comments on the screen here too. So if you want to see your words up on the screen here and let thousands or millions of people see it, put it up on the screen. So there was another one called Friendster. Does anybody remember Friendster? And that was really, I guess, one of the original flops. It never really did that well. Friendster, kind of came out and came and went so quickly that, nobody really knew anything about it. And then, one of the big behemoths, Google, came out with something called Google Plus. Now, it isn't technically failed, only because it's not technically totally gone yet. But the chances are good that you yourself and technically have a Google Plus profile, so long as you use Gmail, email addresses, or GChat or any of that stuff, you're going to have a Google Plus account. But almost no one actively uses this. It's kind of clunky. It's not really inspired. It's not good for sharing messages or swapping images. And for being social, mostly this fourth major social network attempt by Google really just brings up profile headshots when you search for somebody on Google Images. So if you thought that was a sole domain of LinkedIn, right? No, it's not. There's other domains that do that too. And then there was another one called Dig. Do you guys remember Dig? Put something in the comments if you remember Dig or not. Dig was an interesting one. It was another social media network, and it did not do so well. My watch is going crazy here. Okay, it's fine. My watch gives me all these notifications. It like controls my life. I got to get out of that. But Dig was like a platform that had a rather focused agenda. What it was is it was designed to help facilitate the easy sharing of news, opinion pieces, other media, stuff like that. I guess another way to put it was a like an aggregator, something along those lines. But this early entrant into social media became crowded field, and later a field dominated by Pinterest. Okay, so Dig kind of started the same thing as Pinterest. Facebook thing came along, and Twitter, and essentially in the years 2004 through its peak in 2008 or 9, that was it for Dig. Many sites added Dig buttons to their web pages, and the platform was, I mean, for a time, it was large enough to be an influencer online. Then the reigning heavy hitters surpassed it. Though Dig still does exist, albeit in an altered and stripped down form, but it's still out there. But I bet most of you don't use Dig on a daily basis. I'm pretty much guessing it. And how about the big one? The big one we all knew about. Do you remember what the big one was, guys? The really big one? It was MySpace. It was really kind of the poster child of failed social network platforms. And it's really kind of unfair because there's been so many of them that have been failed. But everybody remembers MySpace for some reason. I think it's because MySpace got into some kind of dangerous areas. I think that's why they're so prevalent when we talk about it. There is a contradiction here. It's unfair really, because MySpace never really failed and went away. The platform simply failed to adapt enough to remain, really relevant to any crowd out there. But the failure to fend off the rise of Facebook and others is only so notable because as the one-time reigning champion of social sites, the team at MySpace had the capital, and they should have really, had the wherewithal to adapt and develop instead of growing obsolete thanks to the cluttered, unwieldy interface and the lack of mission. They really just didn't have anything going on over there. They weren't giving it a lot of thought. And I think you're going to see some of this happening to Facebook. And I'm going to give you some reasons for this too. One of the big things about Facebook is the loss of data protection credibility. Nobody really trusts Facebook anymore. They just don't. Okay. They feel like, their data's out there and it's being given away. And people have actually hacked Facebook. They've talked about some of that stuff where companies have gone in there and like this data mine, and they would not only data mine you, but they would also data mine all your friends, which was really uncool, right? So we don't have that credibility around Facebook anymore. Facebook is something I think most of us don't even trust. And once you kind of lose that trust of your fan base, if there is really a fan base for Facebook, I think you're in trouble. And I think also, if you talk to people now and you mention Facebook, almost everybody will have something negative to say. Almost everybody's going to have something negative to say. And a lot of those things are because of, the next thing I'm going to talk about is poor customer service. They have some of the worst customer service I've ever seen in my life. They just really don't care. They don't care that you can get a hold of people. They don't care that you get your questions answered. They act like they care. Like every now and then, you say, I'm going to report this post because it's obviously, a ripoff. This post here is trying to cheat people, or this post is pornography, or this post is spam, or whatever it is. And what happens is they don't care. I've reported a couple of things I've seen on there, and they just don't care. They'll say, no, we're going to leave that one up. And I'm like, wait a second, this person is selling stuff that's illegal, or this person is obviously a ripoff. They're obviously a scammer. You're just going to leave it up. And then you have the flip side where you have all these people going, they closed down my ad account. They closed down, my profile. They did this to me. They put me in jail, Facebook jail. I mean, come on, Facebook jail. Grow up, okay? We're not little kids, okay? We don't need Facebook jail. So the next thing I would say is they're probably not responsive to customer needs. What we need as customers is we want to see stuff. Now, Facebook is really kind of poorly designed because the way Facebook makes money is off of ads, not off of your post. So I think we've all seen that, we would do a post, I know I would do a video or a post just maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it would get hundreds or thousands of views. And I can do one now and it may get 15 or 20. And it says the reach is only 7 or 8 people. I'm like, well, what happened to that? they don't make money when I do a post. Okay. So what their real estate is that feed that comes through. And since that's their real estate, since that's what they make money off of, if they put your posts there, if they put your social shares there, they're taking up space with something that's not going to make them money. Now, the reason we all go to Facebook, I think, is so that we can see our friends and family and their shares and what's going on in their life and their vacation and where they went and all that. But if you can't see that stuff, if you're posting that stuff and nobody sees it whatsoever, that's a real problem. Okay. So I don't think they're responsive to the customer needs anymore. And when you're not responsive to your customer needs, your life is going to be very, very short. If you've experienced some of this, guys, if you've experienced that you are posting on Facebook and nobody's seeing it, put it in that chat section there. If you're not watching this live, put it in the comments section. What happened to you? What did they do? What did you post? I have a relative, and she's probably in her mid 70s, and she's wheelchair bound. And, she's just a nice woman. She spends her day on Facebook. That's what her entertainment is. Because I think it's MS. I'm not sure. She's not a real close relative, but very sweet woman. And she posted something the other day, and it was just, not a family thing. And they took it down as inappropriate content. And she was shocked. She was like, well, how did I post inappropriate content? I never, post anything inappropriate. How is that? How'd that happen? So my next thing I'm going to come to is they're censoring people. This is where you really, really get into a bad area, censoring people, because who has the right to do that? Who determines if something's appropriate or inappropriate? Now, I guess some things are obvious, let's say nudity or violence or something like that, but they've way crossed that line. They're censoring people about all kinds of stuff. I can't count how many times I'll go to somebody's feed and I'll read in there, it says this content's not available, and it will say why it's not available anymore. So they not only remove the content, but they kind of, rub salt into the wound by saying, hey, there's content here. I'm just not going to let you see it because we at Facebook determine what you get to see. The other thing that bothers me about Facebook that I know is really, really censoring people is below, and it'll have the comments. And so often than not, it'll say most relevant comments. I'm like, well, how do you determine what's relevant? How do you do that? Now you can click on that and it'll say all comments, but how do they determine what's relevant? How do they decide what is relevant and what's not? So I think that censoring that they're doing, I think that's really going to hurt them. I really do. Let me get a little sip of water here. Little sip. I got my big cup here today. So I think everybody probably on Facebook, if you spend any time there, has had some experience with either you've been censored or one of your friends or family's been censored. And that comes into, communism, I guess you would call it, really dangerous area when somebody determines, what you can see and what you can't see. All right, let's look at the business end of it. Well, a lot of people used Facebook ads. I use Facebook ads. I have a course called Facebook Ads University, which you can find in the comments section, and you can grab a copy of that course. It's a great course if you want to run Facebook ads. But the problem is they've gotten expensive. They've gotten really, really expensive. I mean, like it's hard to make a profit expensive. And when advertising gets too expensive, then people start looking for other ways to advertise. I know we are not doing Facebook ads right now because of the cost. I mean, we can make money on it, but I can make more money someplace else. So when those ad rates get so exorbitant that the average person can't make some money on it, we got to look at it again. We got to go, wait a second, could I be spending my money on Instagram? Could I be spending my money on Twitter? Could I be spending my money on Facebook or, Google ads or native ads or something like that? Because Facebook's gotten too expensive. Now you say, well, I can at least target people. My next thing is you can't target customers like you used to be able to. I mean, I used to be able to go, okay, I want a homeowner that makes, $75,000 to $125,000 a year, that lives in this region of the country, that is this age, that, has credit cards or whatever. I had all these different parameters. Now, like 90% of those things are gone. You can't target people the way you used to. And that's the whole point of social media advertising, is that you can put your ad in front of the people that may be interested in your ad, because you don't want to waste it. It's like, it's like nowadays putting a billboard out. I don't think most of you would buy a billboard because you would say, well, I'm going to put a billboard out there, and 99.9999% of the people are not going to be interested in whatever my product is. So it's a waste of money. Same thing with, let's say, a TV ad, unless maybe it relates to the show, something like that, I guess you could say. But bottom line is you can't target your customers. You never know who's watching it, and you can't source it. Okay. So, with a Facebook ad, at least you can source, who clicked on it and when they clicked on it, and you can retarget the people that clicked or went to your web page or something like that. But for the most part, you can't target customers like you used to. And I think that's taken away from it, especially in the fact that, you're being charged more and you're getting less, Let's see here. I got some comments in there. I want to make sure you guys can jump in here and participate. Let's see here. What do we got? Lonnie Sellers, what's going on, buddy? There have been many times that someone posts something that I want to perhaps congratulate them on, but it didn't show up in my feed until a couple of days later. Yeah, that's another thing. Delayed posts. I didn't even bring up delayed posts, Lonnie. Thanks for bringing that up. A lot of times you don't see it until later. Like, let's say somebody has a big birthday party, or like my grandson the other day had his first day at school. If I don't see that and it's a week later and it's his first day of school, kind of tough to comment. Well, that's great. I'm sure that was fine, but it's not current. So that's the other thing they're doing to us, is they're taking away things that are current and relevant. And the whole point of Facebook is so that you can share a moment that's going on. If that moment has passed in time, that's another thing that, that's another part. I didn't bring that up. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Lonnie. Let's see here. Thomas says, Apple killed Facebook's ability to target. That's another thing. Okay. Apple's privacy settings now where, you can't target people. And I'm an Apple fan, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it affects it. And, when that happens, we're going to look for other venues. Now I'm all in on YouTube ads now. We're doing YouTube ads for a couple of my different companies. But that's important. Those YouTube ads are very, very important to us because now we can say, well, we're going to put our survival food on a survival video. Okay, that would make more sense. But Facebook has fallen by the wayside, guys. And the other thing that's fallen is their stock price. Let me see, what is their? It was well over $200 a share. And let's see what it is. Facebook stock price today. All right, let's see what it is now. It was well over $200 a share. I think it was like 220, 230, something like that. It's 179 now. And let me see here. I'm going to look on my phone to see what it has been. And actually, that's better than what it has been, but still not great. Still not great. My phone is locking up here. There we go. That is year to date. It's dropped like a rock. Oh my God. It was like in the 300s. Yeah, it was almost $400. And I don't know if you guys can see that chart right there. It was almost $400. And now it's down to 179. Can you see that? It's hard to show it. Let me see here. That gives a better representation right there. If I can tilt that to where you see it. There we go. There you go. It popped in. See that? Look what it's doing. So if you were an investor, you would look at this and say, this company's on the downfall. They're not doing well. And they're getting a lot of bad press too, guys. I mean, that's another thing. They're always in the news, but it's not for anything good anymore. It's for a lot of negative stuff. Now, the next part, which is huge, young people don't care about it. And old people age out, for any product. And I don't care if it's cigarettes. I don't care if it's apple pie. I don't care, whatever. You've got to bring in new customers. Okay. You've got to bring in new customers. If you depend on older customers, they age out. And if you don't have anybody else coming into that funnel, if you don't have young people that are interested in it, you don't have much. And I got to tell you, most young people I talk to nowadays, especially teens and 20s, they're not into Facebook. They're just not. Look at your friends list and see who's active on there. And you're going to find that most young, teenagers, yeah, they don't have the money and all that stuff. I get that. But they tell you what's going to happen. They tell you what's going to be popular. Teenagers will grasp something long before I will, or my friends and family, because they're not teenagers anymore. So if you're not bringing in these new people, if these new people aren't using your product, you're going to be hurt. I mean, and put in the chat section there, put in the comment section, do you have young people in your family? Are they using Facebook? And if they're not using, why aren't they using? And what are they using? I know TikTok's a big one right now. Twitter's always been big. But what are they using right now? What do you think the people in your family are using that are younger? Okay, not the older people, but the younger people. The next thing I want to tell you about, this is very aggravating because it's happened to me, and that is canceling ad accounts with no reason and no way to talk to anybody. I've had ad accounts canceled, and they would say, well, you violated terms and conditions. I'm like, well, what terms and conditions? And they would come back, you violated terms and conditions. I'm like, well, what terms and conditions? And they were like, you can't send us a message anymore about this. I mean, basically, that's what they do. You can't pick up the phone and talk to anybody. Now, Google is not perfect, but I can pick up the phone and I can talk to somebody at Google. I can get on a chat with somebody at Google. I can ask them what we've done wrong, what we need to change. You can't do that with Facebook. They don't care about you. Now, maybe if you're spending, a few $1 million a month, I have a friend that spends right around $1 million a month on Facebook. He has a dedicated ad person, but you know what? You can't get to that $1 million a month if they're not helping you when you're spending $5,000 a month or $500 a month. You can never get there. So what they're doing is they're shutting off their stream of new advertisers because they don't care, and for whatever reason, they're doing this. I don't know, but they're killing themselves. I mean, you can see the stock price plummeting. They're just killing themselves. And the next one I'm going to come to has personally affected me. I mean, this one is really huge. And I didn't quite understand it when it first happened, but let me kind of tell you what happened. I started getting emails. I started having people call the office and they would say, hey, we ordered some Survivalcave food and it's been 2 months or 3 months and we haven't gotten our product. I'm like, how can that be? Because we don't do that. I mean, we don't wait 2 or 3 months. I mean, we've had some delays before, but we know what the delays are and who they are. And then I would go to look up this person in our system and I could not find the person in our system. And I was like, wow, I don't show that you ordered. They're like, yeah, I ordered from your site. Okay. And I'm like, can you send me a link to the site? And some of them would send me a link and I would go there and it sure looked like our site. As a matter of fact, it had our logo on it. They had copied our site and they had these products on the site, and products that we sell for $300 or $400, they had for $98 or $97. Almost exclusively, all these people who bought went through PayPal. And when I asked them, how'd you hear about us? And they said, well, we clicked on an ad in Facebook. I'm like, wait a second. We don't run ads on Facebook. So what these people had done is they had set up a site. They had copied ours basically. And it's not just our site they did that with, but they did a lot with our site. And they would copy it, put up the site, was not the same URL, obviously. And they would sell these products and tell the people up front, it's going to be 2 or 3 months before you get your order. Now, the reason they did this is they could continue to rip off people as long as they wanted until that 2 or 3 months, because then nobody's going to contact them for 2 or 3 months. And they were just stealing from people. Every single one I talked to, and I literally probably talked to hundreds of these people, said, the pricing that they got was way below anything we sold it for. And they were a little skeptical, but it was such a great deal. It was such a great deal. And not only would they get the product, but they would throw in a whole bunch of freebies. And, they would spend $99 and they'd give them $500 worth of freebies, all these other free kinds of survival foods and stuff. They would give them those too. And when I looked up some of these websites, they were in like, I hate to say it, Ukraine or some, Iceland was another one. They were in all these countries that made no sense. Okay. They obviously were not selling our product. Okay. But they were obviously advertising on Facebook, and Facebook was allowing this. And I would tell the people, I say, go to Facebook, tell them, what's happened to you. Tell them that you clicked on an ad. And, these people would do that and the ads would continue to run. So they were canceling good ad accounts like mine and other people out there. And yet they were allowing these scammers, these obvious ripoff people to, cheat people. And what these people would do is they would start these sites. They would collect a bunch of money through PayPal. They would shut down their account and they would disappear. And then they would do it over and over and over again. And Facebook allowed this. Facebook actually allowed this. Okay. Even though it was reported to them. So somewhere over there, and I don't think they intentionally want scammers selling people stuff, because obviously that's bad for their business, but somewhere over there, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect because legitimate people like myself, and maybe you, if you've run ads over there, were running ads that were legitimate and you had a good product, you had a good service, and they shut you down. But then they allow the scammers to get by with it. Now, it is either absurd that they would want to do that, or they're so disorganized that they don't know the difference. And I think that's probably the case. But if you're that disorganized, and then I think they're trying to make up for all of it by just changing their name. You know, I've seen companies do this all the time. They're like, well, we've got a bad name. Let's call it Meta. You know, we've got a horrible name. Let's call it something else altogether. That doesn't fix the problem. It just doesn't. People are like, no, it's the same thing. You've just changed your name. They're trying to get into the metaverse and all these other things now. And if you notice, they're actually distancing themselves more and more and more from the Facebook platform. And why are they doing that? Because they got problems. Now, if you're thinking about canceling your Facebook account, or do you not use it anymore, put it in the chat section, put it in the comment section. If you're not watching this live, I'd like to get a little poll as to how many of you guys are disappointed with Facebook. And if you have, you know, disappointments with Facebook, put what those problems are, put what it is that they're doing wrong, put what it is that's going to change what you're doing, because I'm seeing it more and more, guys. And this is not something that, you know, I've dreamed up. Obviously, I've heard it from way too many people. Okay. Way too many people have come to me and said, you know, no more. I'm done. I'm done with Facebook. I don't like it. I can't get any use out of it. They've canceled my account. They put me in Facebook jail. I've never been in Facebook jail. I don't even know what that is. I would probably just not show up. The only thing I really use it for is a little bit of business now. I've got some pages on there. I've got some groups on there that people participate in, they use, and they get some, you know, value out of it. But golly, guys, even those groups anymore, they don't give me much distribution. You know, I've got, say, you know, 3,000 or 4,000 people in a group, and they show it to 6 people. I'm like, you know, you're not even showing it to the people in the group. You know, what is wrong with your platform? What's wrong with your platform is you don't care about the customer. You don't care about the customer. When you don't care about your customer, you're doomed to fail. You're doomed to fail because it's your customer. Okay. You got to take care of them. I'd love to hear your input on it. You want to put any questions in there, you got any comments in there, put them in the chat section now. Now's the time to do it, right? While we're still live. But if we're not live, okay, if you're watching a recording of this, you know, you can still put it in the comment section. I answer all those comments. I'm going to go in there after this video today and answer some comments. I also have to record another video today, but guys, participate, be part of the participation, be part of the conversation. If you do that, you're going to be so much more likely to succeed online. You're going to be so much more likely to make money, to get known. You know, I have a friend who has a restaurant here in town, and he posts videos all the time of him cooking on the grill and all that. And it looks really cool, but he's never on camera. And I know a lot of you guys don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be on camera. Who wants to be on camera? But the point is, you don't know me. You can't, you know, get my inflection. You don't know what my voice sounds like if I'm not on camera. And I'm telling him, you know, he's got this restaurant. I said, you need to get on camera, say who you are. That way people can connect with you. It's hard to connect with eggs cooking on a grill. It really is. But they can connect with you. You got a great personality. You know, you're a fine looking person. You know, even if you're not fine looking person, you know, some people, and that's all subjective anyhow, right? You've got to be part of the conversation, guys. And video, I think, is a great way to do it. Obviously, I'm doing this video. I was live Monday. Today's Wednesday. I'll be live. I'll be live again Friday. Guys, get involved. Do something. Do videos. Create. You know, the number one result that shows up now when you search in Google is videos. Okay, videos, not blogs, but videos. So, you know, do some short videos, do some long videos, do some explainer videos. Talk about your business. You know, all those things are important. What's Lonnie got to say? I've got a lot of friends on Facebook and would like to keep in touch with them, but I am frustrated with Facebook and we don't know where else to go, or if I could get them move over. Yeah, you know, that's another problem. That's another problem. You know, and I could tell you about a whole lot of different platforms, but they're becoming more and more segregated. I know Trump has one. It's called Truth or something like that. And I looked at it, you know, to see what it was, but nobody's there. You know, nobody's really doing anything over there. It's very politically oriented. You know, I would like to have a platform that's not politically oriented. You know, I don't want to just talk to people who have the same mindset as me. Okay, I think that's a problem. I think if you only talk to the people with the same mindset as you, then you just kind of dig in your heels and that's what you believe. I want to hear everybody's opinion. I may not agree with you, but I think everybody has a right to an opinion. I think Twitter is pretty good about that. And I think that's what Elon wanted to do. But hey, even on Twitter, it's kind of tough to share pictures and videos of your family. I mean, you can kind of do it, but it's different. You know, you got to use it differently. I don't know what the answer to all this is. I really don't. I do know that it's changing. I think that Facebook's probably going to go by the wayside, but they're going to go by the wayside much quicker if somebody else can come in and come up with something that is going to take the place. And I know that you guys are looking for it too. If you find it, let me know. We do most of our family and friends contacts on Apple. What do you do on Apple, Thomas? Tell me exactly what you do there, because I don't do that. And I'm an Apple user. I mean, I'm using a MacBook Pro right now. I've got my iPhone right here. I've got an iPad right here that I'm watching. Whoops, right here that I'm watching you guys on. I'm a big Apple user. My wife has all Apple. I've got an Apple mouse right here. I mean, I'm all Apple. I'm all in on Apple. But what are you doing there? Tell me how you're using that. And not only just for me, Thomas, but for everybody watching, because we're all kind of floundering. We don't know where to go to. We don't know how to get this sharing thing going. And the only thing I'll say about what you just said is that they all have to have Apple, you know, and we could exclude those family members that don't have Apple. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. I'm just kind of half kidding, but yeah, why wouldn't you use Apple? I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't use Apple. I mean, years ago when they had the funny colored monitors and all that, I wasn't into it. But man, it's a clean, neat operating system and products that all talk to each other. So I like it a lot, but I would like to hear what you're doing and how you're using it. If you don't get a chance to post now in the chat section, put it in the comments section after this video goes up. And once again, guys, if you're not watching this live, please be part of the conversation. Let me know what you're doing. Maybe we will all, you know, together figure out a new platform we can all get on, and that's not going to censor us, that's going to allow us to see stuff. I mean, all that. I mean, it's complicated. I wouldn't want to have to come up with a new platform. It's very complicated. And then you got to figure out how to make money too. Okay. So ads has to be part of it. And that's what makes the world go around, right? We can't just put a free platform out there because somebody's got to pay for that platform, and ads have to be the things that pay for it. Guys, I really appreciate you being here today. You've been very insightful. I liked your comments, right? You had some good things to say. And I enjoy the interaction, and I'm here for you. If you need help with anything, this part of my career, you know, as I get a little bit older, is to help people out, is to do these free videos, is to answer questions, is to kind of shove you along and get you started, or help you if you've already started. You know, all those things I want to do in this part of my career. Thomas has said what we use on Apple is called Messages. Apple Messages. You can set up all kinds of streams there. You know what, Thomas? I'm going to check into that. I don't use that. I really don't. I use Facebook Messenger, which is probably not good, right? And I use some other platforms. I use Venmo, but that's more for payments. So I'm going to check that out. And you guys do the same. You know, if Thomas is having a good experience with that, maybe we can do that too. I know not all of my family members have an Apple phone. Maybe I should stay away from those folks. Huh? What do you think? No, I'm just kidding, of course. Am I? I don't know. But guys, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I'll be back on Friday, and it's about going to jail. Yeah, sending emails can send you to jail. On Friday, I'm going to talk about that, and it's pretty darn scary. I'm also going to give you a free download that you can use to guide you through what you should and shouldn't be doing. So you're going to want to attend that on Friday. It'll be at 10 a.m. also. I'll try to send out. Yeah, I already have some emails set up for that, so you should see that. Hit the subscribe button down there below. Turn it from red to gray. Don't forget to ring the bell. Turn on all bell notifications so you're notified each and every time I go live or if I upload a new video. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Those of you who didn't watch this live, please use that comment section down there. Give me a thumbs up. Remember, you could have a really great day if you give me a thumbs up. I'm not saying what kind of day you're going to have if you don't do a thumbs up. I wouldn't do that. But you may be able to imagine. And why risk it? You know, why risk it? Well, why not give me a thumbs up? You know, do it right now. I haven't seen somebody doing it lately, so do it right now. Give me a thumbs up on this video. It doesn't matter if you gave me a thumbs up on other videos. They don't apply to this one. So I need thumbs up on this one, okay? Guys, Thanks so much. I'm going to go work. I got a video to record. I'm going to talk to you guys real soon. Thank you so much for listening. Love each and every one of you. Talk to you later.